Item 6, presentation on broadband connectivity. I'm very pleased to welcome Annette Thorpe, who is a regional director for East of England, and she's joined by David Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to come along this evening and share with you BT's National Investment Programme, to also explain our investment decisions and to talk a bit about government-related funding initiatives in the County of Essex at the moment. I represent BT Group in any discussions this evening. What that means is I don't actually mind at all who the end operator is that is delivering your broadband services. The rationale behind my presence is that I am talking about the network infrastructure that is available on an open access basis for any operator that wishes to be able to use to deliver services in this area. We have at the moment two technologies that we are deploying. Predominantly a service known as fibre to the cabinet, which is providing optical fibre from the exchange straight into the green street cabinets that many of you would have seen over the last few decades. At the moment, that technology is offering download speeds of up to 80 meg. And as the slide says, it's already available to more than 13 million premises, and we plan to reach 2/3 of the UK by the end of spring 2014. We also plan to launch fibre to the premise speeds of 300 meg and 30 meg upstream in spring this year, and that will be for exchanges and particular cabinets and exchanges that are enabled with fibre to the cabinet technology. So specifically within this scenario, anybody that currently can get superfast broadband from an operator within the Epping exchange area will be able to take that service later on in the spring. We also deliver a service known as Ethernet, which is very high speed service predominantly for businesses. And also looking at the final two items of this initial slide, people will be aware that we have a very significant Wi-Fi footprint which is open on a national basis as well. We now start to move into the specifics around BT's investment programme and indeed the overlap into government initiatives for broadband speed uplifts nationally. The column at the sentence at the bottom of the slide refers to 9 counties that have run a procurement to buy services that will uplift rural broadband to those counties mentioned there. In this part of the world, Norfolk and Suffolk have contracted, and Essex County Council will be coming out to tender for their procurement activity in the not too distant future. Moving on, what does that mean for this part of the world? Now, I'm hoping that my guys that do the modelling in my R&D labs have not insulted anybody in this room with the geographical boundaries. The reason that you have parts of Hertfordshire and London and in some other counties leaching in is because there are instances where you have telephone exchanges that are not based in the district that serve premises within the district. So, for example, if you look at something like Hoddesdon, there is a small amount that serves this part of the world from a Hertfordshire exchange. So that actually throws a little bit of a misnomer in that it gives a greater view of high-speed broadband services that are available across the district. For those of you that haven't already counted it, there are around 20 exchanges that serve the community of the Epping Forest District area. Of those 20, 9 currently support and deliver superfast broadband speeds, which for purposes of clarity are up to 80 meg service from various operators. You also have 8 of those exchanges deliver a service that is known as Wholesale Broadband Connect, which is offering up to 20 meg from multiple operators. Every exchange within the district has access to basic broadband speeds of 8 megabit. Now, As far as actual availability to get services on those exchanges, many of you within this room will have suffered and will no doubt tell me so, that there are slow speeds across the district and services need to be improved. Where an exchange meets our commercial case, we will continue to announce new exchanges across the UK, the East, Essex, and potentially this part of the world as well. However, I emphasise heavily that this is a commercial decision, and we have always said, since we made our initial announcement some years ago now, that we would typically expect to do just over 2/3 of the UK. For the proportion that is not physically possible to do, both from an investment case and from a technology perspective, government made available over £500 million for each of the counties across the UK to come up with a local broadband plan as to how the general economic area would be improved by using this investment. As far as Essex is concerned, Essex County Council have £6.46 million, of which they were expected to match themselves with an additional £6.46 million that they will be going to market and competitive tender within the next few months. Now clearly, with BT being a potential competitor in that procurement exercise, that is very much the limit of what I am able to share, other than the most important part being that the money is only able to be used for those areas where commercial operators are not going, which is typically a large proportion of the exchanges shown on that map where BT cannot justify the commercial investment, and at this present moment in time there are no clear plans of major investments. At the point Essex goes to market, they will consult and ask all operators if they plan to invest any further within the geographical boundaries of Essex in general. The link that's shown on this last slide, I would actively encourage both members and residents in your wards and anybody else that is currently looking at this webcast, because it is important for any operators who are going to be competing for this money that they see there is appropriate demand within the geographies of the county that they are responding to, and more importantly, in a lot of cases, if the volume is there, it may help prioritise deployment to the rural areas in your community.
There are other areas that I know, particularly around Loughton, where there is absolutely no fibre at all on a business estate, Langston Road business estate. There's no fibre at all, and BT are not providing any. So that's a business area, and it's quite an important hub for us. Yeah.
In answering that question, the financial case for the business park in Loughton is exactly the same as the financial case for any business park and community nationally. If the serving cabinet for that community, i.e. the business community, is not sufficiently large enough to merit the commercial investment, then that would be expected to get picked up by intervention. And part of the observation that I made earlier, that there is a business class service called Ethernet, there is an expectation that some businesses, not all, but some businesses will actually work on an Ethernet connection rather than a broadband connection. So it is not something that is unique, it is where it does not fit our commercial model for deployment. And one of the things that I didn't mention earlier is that when we make a decision to deploy an exchange, what we subsequently do is we analyse the commercial and technical viability for every single street cabinet off that exchange, which will then determine whether we enable them or not. Now, it may be that for the business park in question, it could be that it's not commercially viable, or it could be that technically we can't provide the speed uplifts to that. But if you want to drop me a note under separate cover, I will happily get it looked at for you.